Welcome back, everybody. I'm Glenn McGowan, and this is At Was Bowen. So I find myself going down a little bit of a rabbit hole here. I just finished doing the paint job on the hood and the front bumper on my E46, and I decided to paint a trunk and a bumper that I have, not the ones on the car, but an extra set of silver ones that I have, the actual original trunk that came with this car. So let me explain. So I have enough paint left over from the hood and the bumper to do those. The rear bumper on this got some big paint chips and stuff on the back of it, and the trunk's got some scratches on it, and there's like a little lip spoiler on there, and the paint on it isn't that great. So I decided, you know what, I'm not ready to do a whole paint job on this car yet. Now, it's not terrible. The car actually is in pretty decent shape, and I just don't want to go down that road. It's a lot of work, although it may be like a 30-minute video on here, but it's just hours and hours of just, you know, getting all the body work straight and sanding and painting, clearing, wet sanding, all that kind of stuff like that. So I'm just not ready to do that right now. Maybe springtime, maybe another year, but I decided if I paint the trunk and the bumper, put them on the car, it'll look a lot nicer for the time being. So I can just kind of enjoy the car and just kind of put it aside for right now. So I'm gonna do that. I've got the trunk outside. I'm getting ready to sand that down. So the original trunk on the car, it just had some clear coat like flaking on it, and I had an extra trunk with a lip spoiler, and I ended up painting the lip spoiler with like spray paint just to put it on the car when I got it. And it doesn't look bad, but when you get up on it, it doesn't look that good at all. So it's not horrible, but it also just doesn't look that great. So, and it definitely doesn't match the hood and the bumper's flavor that it's got going on now. So it's kind of making everything else on the car look poor and shabby. So my plan is to sand the trunk down, get that ready to paint it, clear it, and then I have this other bumper, which is actually pretty decent shape, but there's a couple nicks and stuff like bumpers do have on them, so I'm gonna fix the little body work on that, and then I gotta modify the inside of it a little bit because of the way my wheels are set up in the back, and I'll paint them separately, and when I have those done, then I'll swap them over on the car, so I can still drive it if I wanted to, not take it off the road or anything like that. So that's my plan, and I'm gonna get rid of the rest of the paint that I have on those parts, and then go from there. This week's video is brought to you by LCOBMW parts. Visit our online store for E36, E46, and E90 parts, or follow us on Instagram at LCOBMW. All the links are in the description below. As always, we'll take a look at everything before and the condition of the trunk and the bumper and stuff like that on this, and we'll look at the other parts, and then we'll start working on those. So this is the trunk, and it's got some scratches like right there. And from far it looks okay, but it's pretty beat up. And then this is the spoiler. It's like the paint on it's just all textured and coarse and stuff like that. So I just figured why not just paint the other one. And I'm not against the lip spoiler, but I mean, it's not really my thing. So I rocked it for a little bit. It looks okay, but it's gonna come off. And then the bumper looks pretty decent there. And then we get to like here. I had put like a bunch of touch-up paint in there just to make it look okay, and then there's another spot right here too. I put a bunch of touch-up paint in there, so I figured, you know what, we might as well make her pretty. And then right here, a bunch of stress cracks. And then as far as modifying the bumper, when I was rolling my fenders, the tire actually hits up in here pretty good, so I had grinded a lot of this out here just to make the clearance, because it was actually rubbing on the sidewall here, just ever so gently, just slowly wearing that down. So I got to do that modification on the other one. And set up out here is my trunk, the original one to the car, and it's actually in pretty good shape. There's no dents or anything, but there's the clear coat spots. So we're gonna sand all that stuff down, but there's no dents or anything, any deep scratches, so it should just be a really quick just sand and scuff. Okay, so I'm gonna start off with 600, and then I'm gonna just gray scuff pad everything, and then this should be pretty much ready to roll. So I started sanding this, and I went to like 320 just because the clear coat was just kind of coming all off. And then I just took the air hose to blow some of the dust off of it, and all the clear is like blowing off of it. So it definitely needs to all come off, the clear coat. If not, because if you paint it, it'll all peel back off. But I'm literally taking my air hose like this. And it's coming right off, which is pretty crazy. So I just finished sanding the trunk. So all that clear coat that was flaking off with the air hose, you know, essentially all had to come off. So there were areas that I actually had to sand it down pretty far to get all that off. So now I'm gonna actually have to primer the trunk. going into this, I didn't want to do it. I wanted to sand it, paint it real quick, but this is kind of the right way to do it at this point. So I am going to start doing the rear bumper too, just in case I have to primer that too, and then I'll prime both of them at once, and then block them out and sand them, and then I'll be able to paint them. But in the meantime, let's look at this trunk. I'll show you how far down I had to get it before I'm gonna lay some primer down. As you can see, this must have been some body work from before, but other than that, all that old clear coat is off, so I don't have to worry about, you know, it coming back up underneath the new paint or anything. So you got the rear bumper up here. I started marking my little spots. Besides it being covered in grass, started doing a little sand in there, but here's just a couple little imperfections here and there. But I'm probably gonna do the same thing. I'm just gonna sand it down, do the body work in these spots, and then prime this too. So it's been a couple hours now that I've been just deep into body work on this rear bumper. So everything I thought that was gonna be this super easy, just sand everything and repaint it and clear it real quick, has just took a turn for the worse, for lack of better words. So we'll look at this real quick. I'm almost ready to primer the bumper in the trunk. I've just been working on this one spot in the center of the rear bumper. It's like super high, and it's in like the urethane of the bumper. It's not like metal, you can like bang it down or anything like that. So that's been fighting me for the last couple hours. But other than that, I mean, I'm getting closer. So much for just an easy project, but I think I go into everything just with high expectations, thinking that, oh, it'll be real quick, and it never is. So let's just look at my body work here. Okay, so all here, that spot there, there's a bunch of stuff here, and then over here is not that bad. Little spot down there and there. I took this piece out. I'll probably just tape these off so I don't break them. But other than that, I think we're ready for primer. So I'm mixing up the primer. I just got a little bit left in here, so hopefully this will be enough to do both of those. But you know, anything's better than nothing, I guess, at this point. Man, these projects are just beating me up. I think I need to take a break from this paint stuff here for a little bit. We forget how long it takes. Okay, bumper's done. The trunk is done. Sanded at least. So the only thing I have to do before I actually lay some paint down is I had to modify the new rear bumper to essentially accept my wheels in the back here. So like right in this area here, the tire rubs because these are 35mm offset wheels, so they stick out a little bit, and I have the fenders rolled a little bit, but right in this area it rubs. So this one's already notched out because when I was lowering it and fitting it and stuff like that, I had to kind of address that. So I'm essentially anticipating that with this one, and since it's off the car, I can kind of see it a little bit better, and I'm going to notch those out with a grinder, and I'm going to cut a little bit of the support out, which I'll show you here in a second. This is the area right up here where I'm gonna grind this out like this, down into here. I measured them out on each side so it's even. And then this piece in here, I'm gonna actually take off. I'm gonna cut here, and I'm gonna cut this part down to about there, or maybe here or something like that. But I'm gonna just pull that off so the tire has plenty of clearance so it doesn't rub or mess the tire up. I just finished up here. Now you can see I took all this down here. It's stuck up about that thick. There, I mean this thin, and I actually cut back this section here because mainly the rubbing area is like right in here on the inner wheel well and all this whole lip here. So that's all cleaned up, so shouldn't have an issue there. Same thing over here, like that. Okay, so I have the bumper notched up now, so I'm pretty much ready to run up and grab my paint booth. So I'm gonna spend the next hour pulling that down, pulling it out, filling it up, and getting everything set up. It doesn't take that long, but it's, you know, I keep it in the original box, so I gotta drag it from my house attic all the way back down, bring it out to the shop. Mainly I keep it in the house just to keep the mice out of it, like if it stays in the shop. So that's what I'm gonna work up now, get that thing blown up, get these parts cleaned off one more time, and then we'll start putting some base coat down. As you can see, the tent is up. I have my parts over here ready to get painted. They are cleaned, so I'm gonna go and mix up some base coat and put a couple coats down. Base coat is done. I got my clear coat here. I'm gonna do a couple coats of this and then I'm done. So I just finished clearing everything. Everything turned out really, really nice. I'm finally starting to get the hang of this paint booth here. So last time I had a couple things in the hood, mainly because there's a separate wall here too. So I put that back up because the other one, when you came right in, we were going in and out of it, so dirt was coming in. So I put this one up, which helped a lot. I wet the floor a little bit. And the big trick that I kind of picked up on with this thing is picking a day that is cloudy, because if you have this outside in the direct sun, so much heat and sun comes in here and almost just like puts too much light and the heat on the parts if it's shining in, because you can see essentially everything's windows in this thing. So doing this actually inside like a shop, which I could put it up in my shop, that I had to move all the cars out. So today was like the perfect day, so I just decided, you know, let's get it up. It's super overcast and no rain, but if it does rain too, which kind of sucks, is that this thing does leak. It's not completely sealed off, so it's like constantly bleeding off air. So one time I did have this up in the rain and drips were coming down from the ceiling. So it's one of those things like you can't paint in the rain either, because you're gonna get water all over your parts. So I'm starting to really figure out this paint booth thing of like what works. You know, it's still essentially painting parts in your driveway, but this way you can get a pretty decent product, and then all you have to do is kind of cut and buff the clear coat, and then it'll turn out really, really nice. So let's look at this stuff real quick. I'm just gonna let it sit out here and dry for a while, and then I'll bring it in a couple hours. That turned out good. Nothing really big, like dirt or anything in the clear, which is good. Bumper turned out nice too. So this time I ended up using Eastwood's clear, and it's like their 2-to-1 European clear. I just bought a quart of it because I didn't know when was the next time I was actually going to do a paint project. I used PPG Deltron because I had a bunch left over from my Corvette when I did my hood and my bumper, and that's a really nice clear coat. So I might, depending on what I do next, end up getting that. But for small projects like this actually kind of lays out pretty good, which is kind of nice. So Okay, so that is a wrap. So I have the parts out of the paint booth. I still have to cut and buff those, which I'll get to at a later time. Kind of burn out from doing all these paint projects. I'm gonna be hanging the paint gun up for now and moving on to something else. So if you enjoyed the video, hit that like button. Thanks for watching.